Are you retiring next year but you're worried about the potential for a recession? I've got 7 strategies that will help you take matters into your own hands. Hey guys, Jet here, retirement income certified professional on the advisory team at W.A. Smith Financial. Our mission to ensure you focus more on your life and worry less about your money, helping you achieve financial peace of mind for your money and your investments. I am your guide today, and today's topic, if you're worried about a recession in 2023 and you were hoping to retire, you're going to want to pay attention. I've got 7 things you can do to take control and retire on your terms. Let's jump right in. Okay, so you've got a date set. You're going to retire in 2023. You maybe just set the date. Maybe you've been thinking about it for a long time. You've had a plan to do it. But here we are. Prospects for a recession are real. Will we be in a recession? Will we avoid a recession? Hard to say. Don't you want to be able to retire no matter what the market throws at us, no matter what the economy throws at us? It is in your power, right? But the idea of fear towards that makes a lot of sense to me, right? Because you don't want to make the wrong decision. This is one of the most important decisions of your life. So you got to make sure that you have a plan and that your plan is going to guide you to be able to weather any market storm, any economic storm. So today we're going to talk about 7 different things that you should do if you're thinking about retiring or you've set your retirement date for 2023, whether we have a recession or not, whether we're in one or we eventually end up in one, these things will help you. Let's jump right in. The first one I want to talk about is income. We call it the income gap. Any good financial plan, regardless of market scenario, has an income plan where you know exactly how much you need to spend on a monthly basis to live happy, live comfortably, and you know how much of that income is coming from your investment portfolio, right? So, quick example, if you spend $10,000 a month and that lets you live the happy lifestyle that you want to live, and Social Security and pensions only provide $5,000 a month, then you have a $5,000 a month income gap. Critically important to understand how much will your portfolio, your investments, this money that you have out there that could be affected by things like market volatility or by a recession, how much will that portfolio have to cover on a month-to-month basis? Figure that out first and you're well on your way. Now, number 2 kind of goes hand in hand with that. We call it wants versus needs. Talked about a $10,000 a month income goal and a $5,000 gap. Well, how much of that $10,000 a month income goal are needs and how much of it is things you want to spend money on? Needs are simple. That's taxes, insurance, groceries, clothes on your back, right? You have to pay for these things. You have to live with these things. You can't live even a normal lifestyle without them. Whereas wants, well, that's different. We all want to do things. I'd like to play golf more often. I'd like to travel a little bit more. If I want to do things like that and I want to do more of it, I have to have the appropriate budget and the right income stream to be able to support it. So it's under your control, especially if markets get a little hairy, we have a recession, volatility pops back up in the marketplace and you're seeing your accounts depreciate an asset or market value. Well, you have to be willing in some cases to cut some of these wants out of your budget, even if for a short time. If you do that, you might be able to continue on the path that you've set forward. And sometimes if you create a plan that's solid enough, you won't have to worry about cutting the wants. Understanding them is important though, because that's an ammunition that you can use to your advantage if things get a little hairy. Now, number 3, going back to income, we really strongly advise anyone, regardless of how much they've saved or how much risk tolerance they're willing to take on, if you are going to retire and you're going to spend dollars from your portfolio, you're going to take regular withdrawals. In our case, again, $5,000 a month is what's needed from the portfolio. You should really have about 3 to 5 years worth of income setting aside in something that has minimal risk association with it. Could use safety vehicles or principal protected items like CDs, treasuries, cash accounts, fixed annuities potentially. You could use more conservative asset allocations, but you really have to be careful with how much money you choose to invest in the stock market if we're going to have an ugly period of time. There's no guarantee that a recession will cause market volatility or when it will occur. But if it does, and you have too much invested in that risky place, you might jeopardize income in the short years of your retirement following that. So 3 to 5 years, it could be less, it could be more, but we call it time segmentation or segregating your assets a little bit, right? Could you take a pool of money that would give you that $5,000 a month income gap that you need from the portfolio for up to 3 years or 5 years, so that you give the rest of your portfolio that could be suffering from market volatility or depreciating in value the time that it needs to recoup and recover. On average, bear markets last about 1.8 years, give or take. So as long as you have enough income set aside, you should be able to weather any financial storm, especially on the assets that you aren't taking distributions from. So segregate the assets, set aside 3 to 5 years of income and find something that's either safe or more conservative or some combination of those two items. Number 4, this is a big one. Everybody wants to be a market timer. If market timing existed, we would all be rich. So extremely hard to time the market. And I've always said, hindsight is 20/20, right? We can all look back and go, oh, we should have sold there, or we should have bought there. A lot easier said than done. A lot of people fall victim to this, especially when markets are volatile or economies are in dicey territory. So you can become a victim of this too, especially in the early years of retirement, because it's scary. All of a sudden you've left the workforce. You no longer have that paycheck you've become reliant on coming through the doors. You're recreating said paycheck from your portfolio by taking withdrawals from your savings that you've accumulated. And now the market goes crazy. Do you really want to try to play this game in an effort to avoid losses or hit big if you think the market has bottomed out? So this can really hurt some people. You can avoid market timing very easily simply by having a plan where you understand your income gap, you understand what your wants versus your needs are, you've set aside the appropriate allotment of safer, more conservative dollars that can handle your income need no matter what markets do for you. Therefore, the dollars you do choose to invest in stocks, you can kind of give them the time that they need so that you don't have to jump in and jump out and try to play this game. You gotta remember, with market timing, you gotta be right twice. You gotta be right the first time you get out, and then you also have to be right when you choose to get back in. Sometimes I would argue that second point in time, the day you choose to reinvest your dollars, is the harder of those 2 points to manage. So be careful with market timing. I would strongly advise you to avoid it. To avoid it, sometimes you need to have a plan that will help you do that. Move on to number 5, goes into purpose-based allocation. Now, purpose-based allocation kind of ties all this back together. If you know you need income, we can do a time segmentation strategy. Sometimes people refer to this as bucketing or laddering. There are many different types of investment vehicles that exist, all different sizes, substances, structure, different risk levels, risk tolerances, all have pros, all have cons. There is no special investment that you can choose to put your money in that's going to solve all of life's financial problems. So you have to be working with someone who can help you diversify which types of investments you choose to use for your portfolio. Now, a purpose-based allocation very simply is this. Let's set aside 3 to 5 years of income as the first bucket in your plan. You know that you will derive that $5,000 a month income need that you have from that first bucket. You know that those funds will very likely last at least 3 or 4 or 5 years, and that you won't have to get into other assets or investments that you have for that length of time. Therefore, you've automatically given the next investment bucket in your row or your line a minimum of 3 or a maximum of 5 years before you'll have to intervene or interrupt it or potentially take distributions. So stagger these buckets out, and the further the bucket gets down the line or the investment vehicle, essentially the more risk you could choose to take with said investment because you've given that investment more time. Defining purpose can go as far as this bucket of investment dollars is going to cover my income needs for the first 3 to 5 years. This bucket's going to cover years 5 through 10. This bucket's going to cover years 10 through 15. And out here, since I have 15 years of income kind of derived on my plan on a scheduled sequence, now you can choose different types of goals. This investment bucket is a legacy bucket. I want to invest aggressively and grow it as much as I can because I never plan on spending dollars from this bucket. I only want to leave them to my kids or my grandkids and leave a legacy. Maybe this one here is for discretionary purposes. If some random expense pops up, you know that you will take a distribution from that bucket versus any other bucket so that you don't interrupt the flow of your plan. Some people have what we call a goal bucket, and that's sometimes my favorite bucket. You have a dream where you want to take the entire family, kids, grandkids, on a big trip every year. And it's going to cost you a lot of money, so you place some investment dollars in a bucket with a scheduled time and a risk tolerance that you've adjusted, and you invest for that purpose. It's a goal bucket. I had a client once who had a goal bucket to purchase a Harley Davidson, another one who wanted to purchase a camper to take out on the road with his family when he retired. So those are good ideas of what a purpose-based allocation. If you can't look at every investment vehicle that you have and point at it and say, well, I know exactly what that bucket's doing for me or what that investment's doing for me or what the purpose of it is, I would strongly advise you to rethink how you're doing things. Going into the last two, number 6 is self-explanatory. Try not to panic. It's really hard to do. Nobody likes losing money. Losing money hurts. Looking at your account statement, seeing, even if it's on paper, losses, it hurts, especially in those early years of retirement where you just got into that phase and you're seeing life savings wash away. Try not to panic. And one of the easiest ways to avoid panic is to make sure that you have a plan in some of the ideas that I've given you here, right? If you have an investment vehicle that's aggressive, that's losing a lot of money on paper, as long as it's not something that you will need to take withdrawals from in the next few years, it should make it a little easier on you to avoid panic, because the last thing everyone tells you to do is sell when the market is low. You want to buy when the market's low and sell when the market's high. Again, a lot easier said than done. But nevertheless, try to create a plan that will help you avoid panic. You don't want to have to worry about your money. You just want to focus on your life, as we always say. And lastly, this is a big one. If you're not a do-it-yourselfer, if you're someone that wants to focus on life and not worry so much about your money, you probably have a financial advisor. You've probably got a guide, a professional that's helping you. Make sure that you're reviewing regularly with them. The amount of times that I've talked to potential clients or somebody that wants help or wants to ask a question, and I ask them, hey, how often are you reviewing with your advisor? And they tell me, oh, well, I only ever talk to him if I call him. Or they call me once a year. And I go, well, what kind of plan do they have for it? And they go, well, they just invest my dollars for me. Well, you have an investment strategist or an investment broker. You might not actually have a financial planner or a financial advisor. Good advisors and those who continue to communicate with their clients are key when you're in a recession or a volatile period of time. You have to review regularly because things change, specifically with finance and the world of money, on a very rapid pace. So there you have it. You've got 7 different things that you could look at within your financial world that should help you retire confidently, retire comfortably, whether we go into a recession or not. Okay, so hopefully now you feel a little bit more comfortable, feel a little bit more confident. You've got all the tools to retire on your own terms in any market. If you have additional questions about what we covered today, or you have other topics that you'd like us to cover, go ahead and drop it in the comments there. Make sure you like this video and subscribe to our page for more educational content just like this. It's time for me to pass the light bulb off to one of my other team members for the next video. Go ahead and check it out.